Hey there, thanks for clicking the video and hope you find it helpful. So this is my guide on cold calling. This is pretty much the bones that I use for every single cold call. I've done a lot of workshopping over my almost 2 years of, I guess, a year and a half of being an SDR in terms of what works the best, what I feel most comfortable with, and then also doing lots of research online in terms of um, what is the best way to book a meeting from cold calling. Couple other notes I'll make on it is I think cold calling in today's day and age is probably the best way to book successful meetings. Part of that I think has to do with catching people by surprise. Part of it is it's harder to replicate, at least in March of 2025, it's harder to replicate a, or it's harder to be basically replaced by AI on a cold call than it is like an email or LinkedIn where, you could have some chatbot writing things for you and which creates skepticism in your buyers. Cold calling, on the other hand, is there's a lot more trust involved that you're a real person, and there will hopefully be litigation against deep fake robots that are impersonating individuals. And hopefully those don't get too out of control in the future. But I guess we'll see. Other than that, I will say this is not the only way to have success cold calling. I'm sure many of you watching this uh, have had success with other ways of cold calling. And again, like I said, this is not the best, or this is not the only way. I personally think it's the best way, and I'll try to explain some of the reasons why. I didn't mean to add that in. And that what I just deleted will be helpful for maybe a future video. But anyways, let's get into it, and then I'll kind of go through the notes at the very end. Ring, ring, ring. Hey, Charles. This is Thomas Klusman with MongoDB. How's it going? Good. What's this about? Yeah, Charles, sure thing. So I'm part of the account team here at MongoDB, supporting Charles Schwab. I know I'm kind of calling you out of the blue, but do you have a minute to hear why I'm calling? Sure, but be quick. I'm at the doctor's office right now. Great. The reason I'm reaching out is we're actually working with XYZ company or XYZ team to help them accomplish this, and this by doing this, that, and that. I'm reaching out to you specifically, Charles, because I saw that you're focused on whatever you saw from their LinkedIn or whatever you read in an article. And given the overlap, I thought it might make sense to connect. Any interest in a conversation, maybe in the next week or two, to discuss further? Yeah, sure. That's actually something I'm focused on. Let's do it. Or there'll be an objection, and we can talk about that. And then this part's important. Great. Do you have your calendar in front of you? And then boom, book the meeting from there. So, a couple notes I wanted to make. One, you can use variations of the opener. This one I like. It's simple. People are just used to someone saying, "Hey, how's it going?" And then this specifically, I like the upfront contract. I like acknowledging that you're calling out of the blue. And then I also like the permission to hear why you're calling. I prefer being honest, so I like to say, do you have 30 seconds or do you have a minute to hear why I'm calling? If you say, do you have a sec to hear why I'm calling, that probably creates distrust because people know your talk track isn't going to be longer than 1 second. But, your discretion. And then here sometimes they'll tell you no, pound sand. And, it sucks. But my argument is, and some people might say you should just don't ask for permission, just go straight to the talk track. But I don't know. I think um, if people tell you to pound sand right at this part, they probably weren't going to hear you out anyways. And it's kind of rude to ramble on for this amount of time without like getting any sort of like permission or anything back from the other person. All that to say, you know, this part, bullet point number 2, is very important. Gong shows this. Gong is they analyze cold calls, and the research is strong out there that it's very important early on to tell them why, to use that phrase, the reason I'm reaching out, or something similar, because people are curious and they're skeptical. If you're calling them out of the blue, they don't want you asking them how their weekend was before you tell them why you're calling. So get straight to the point. This is super important. And you tell them, the reason I'm reaching out is and then you just tell them exactly why you're reaching out. You just be honest. And then you prove that you've done your research because you're telling them something that's relevant and you want to get specific, right? This part's important. You want to tell them how you're helping a company. You just say, hey, we're helping people close more sales. You want to tell them we're helping them close more sales because we're increasing the rate of pickup by creating a more personalized, by getting a more personalized number specific to the customer. Whatever your technology is selling, you want to be specific for how you're helping. And then you tell them, I'm reaching out to you specifically because I saw that you're focused on this, this, and this, a similar initiative. And given the overlap, thought it might make sense to connect. Any interest in a conversation to discuss further, maybe um, end of this week, you know, ideally, or tomorrow, um, whatever works. That's further. You could just leave it like that, actually. And I say, yeah, let's do it. And then boom, great to have your calendar in front of you, and then try to book ASAP, just because the actually rate of ghosting goes up a lot. The rate you'll get ghosted the further out you book. So try and book within the first 72 hours if possible. Um, and then the last note I'll say is, you'll get a couple things I'll say. You'll get a variety of objections. The best strategy, in my opinion, is Chris Voss's strategy, which he coins tactical empathy. If you don't know Chris Voss and haven't read the book Never Split the Difference, highly recommend it. I think you should always follow the pattern of something along the lines of, "Hey, I hear you. That being said, this, and this." So they might say, you know, "Hey, Thomas, thanks for calling, but we just don't have any budget right now." And of course, a common objection, but that you want to say is, "Hey, I hear you. That being said, like we're actually working with this other company who, after moving to us, actually saved 20% overall um, by using our product because of all the extra sales they were getting." Of course, a lot of people aren't going to bite, but being able to just understand what they're saying of, "Hey, I hear you. Like I know your budget's really tight right now." It seems like to be that seems to be common with people all across this industry. That being said, we actually worked with this company. We're working with this company right now who said the same thing, and boom. Or, hey, they might tell you, "Hey, I'm just like really busy right now. I can't meet." "Hey, I hear you. I know, it sounds like I can hear the noise in your background. That being said, do you have like 30 seconds, like 10 more seconds to hear why I was calling, or 20 more seconds to hear why I'm calling?" Again, that'd be an objection at this stage. Like, I'm really tight on time. Or, yeah, I'm really tight on time. I don't think I can chat right now. "Hey, I hear you. I can hear the noise in the background, but you just have 30 seconds to hear why I'm calling, and then we can decide if it would make sense to chat further down the road." And then, I often get meetings like that all the time. So tactical empathy. And then this is super important. It's hopefully obvious and hopefully you do it, but um, I think everyone can fall into a trap at times of just knowing there's an important person that they're calling, but not knowing why they're reaching out. And so whenever you make a dial, and this gets better in time, but before you make a dial, just know why you're calling the person that you're about to call. Like if you're calling someone important, but you don't know, why you're calling them, or more specifically, how you could help them. If you don't have any sort of and you could be wrong, but if you don't have a hypothesis on how you'll help this person, like don't call them until you know why you're calling them. And you'll get anxious if this isn't the case because you'll be reaching out to people and you'll be scared of what to say. Um, and that's where this, doing this stock track and writing it up in your mind can be a lot of help. So that's just the last point I'll make for now is make sure that before you call someone, you know exactly why you're reaching out. And, once you get them on the phone more often than not, or, maybe one out of every 3 calls, things will go well for you. And you'll actually provide real value to them that'll make them excited to connect. And yeah, once you, one more note I'll say is like this specific phrase, "Do you have your calendar in front of you?" That's a really great way to lock down time because if they've agreed to a conversation, boom, then you have their calendar in front of you. And I would always, if possible, try to make them look at their calendar instead of just asking, "Hey, can we do tomorrow at 3?" Like you want them to have their calendar in front of them because a lot of people don't know their calendar for sure. And then, confirm the email. If they agree, you can also ask them like something along the lines of, hey, um, you know, I mentioned we helped this company do this, this, and this, but anything top of mind that you want to discuss on this next call or anything I can come prepared with, just so I can make the most use of your time. Just that will, if they give you an answer to that, that will increase the rate of conversion and the rate they show up because you can throw that in the agenda and actually have a lot of success there. And so, as I'm saying this, I'll probably type out a fifth bullet point after I record this that you can just as a reminder of like what's important uh, to do after once they agree to a cold call to improve the likelihood of them actually showing up.
Do you want to become an account executive faster? Check out my Skool community. You'll get weekly live trainings, Q&A sessions, downloadable resources, accountability to stay on track, and access to a network of SDRs, account executives, and myself for personalized guidance. Go ahead and click the link in the description below to join now and accelerate your career.